Welcome to the deep dive. We received your question, and it's a really fundamental one. This choice between, stepping back from action versus actively engaging with the world. Which way leads to a better life?
You mentioned some reading sparked this, specifically a text, twopaths.pdf, and it frames this dilemma in a fascinating way.
Right. And your core question, as we see it, is, if renouncing action seems, superior somehow, why would the advice ever be to keep acting?
And the source material suggests the answer isn't simple. It's not one size fits all. It seems to hinge quite a bit on, well, your personality and also where you are right now, what the text calls your mental maturity.
Okay, mental maturity. So Two Paths talks about different roads, doesn't it? It mentions a professional lifestyle and a spiritual one.
Yes, exactly. And it even sketches out maybe an ideal path going from professional then to spiritual. But the key idea is that the ultimate goal, achieving what it calls joyful living, is the same regardless.
So the path mainly changes.
Yeah.
The comfort of the journey, maybe,
Yeah.
not the final destination.
That seems to be the idea. The text emphasizes that these lifestyles serve different primary purposes on the way to that goal. The professional lifestyle helps build up that mental maturity.
Through experience dealing with the world.
Precisely. And then the spiritual lifestyle is seen as more conducive to gaining deeper self-knowledge once you have that maturity.
Okay, so it's about the right tool for the right stage of development. You wouldn't try to gain deep self-knowledge if your mind isn't quite ready for that kind of focus.
Exactly. The source seems quite clear. The professional path helps mature the mind, and the spiritual path helps you gain self-knowledge. It depends on your current status, your readiness.
So when does the text say renouncing action, adopting that spiritual lifestyle, is actually the recommended path?
It's advised for someone who has already reached that state of mental maturity.
Meaning they understand that, just chasing material things won't bring lasting happiness, and that maybe science doesn't have all the answers.
That's a good way to put it. When someone has that foundational understanding, then dedicating oneself to a spiritual lifestyle, to contemplation and learning, becomes a more direct route to self-knowledge.
Okay. But then there's the flip side. The text spends a lot of time explaining why just quitting everything isn't right for everyone. And this is where the example of Arjuna comes in, right?
Yes, absolutely. Arjuna is used as the prime example of someone for whom renouncing action right at that moment would be the wrong move.
And the text gives specific reasons. You mentioned 7.
That's right, 7 distinct reasons why a man of action, someone like Arjuna, deeply involved in his duties, shouldn't suddenly try to drop everything for a life of renunciation.
7. Okay, let's unpack those. What's the first reason?
The first one is about having a weak mind. The idea is that Arjuna's desire to renounce might just be a spur-of-the-moment reaction to his difficult situation.
Not a deeply considered decision.
Exactly. And because his mind is so used to being active, it would likely just stay restless and worried, even if he physically left the battlefield. So just changing the external setting isn't enough if the internal state isn't aligned.
Right. He'd still be fighting the battle in his head. Okay, what's the second reason?
Weak conviction. The text argues that true renunciation needs a really profound, unshakable belief that the material world just can't offer ultimate, lasting happiness.
And Arjuna. Maybe he understood that intellectually, but didn't feel it deeply enough.
It seems that way. His conviction isn't portrayed as absolute. Genuine detachment, the text implies, comes from a deeper place than just reacting to circumstances.
That makes sense. A difference between knowing something and truly knowing it. Reason number 3.
Strong preferences. This is about ingrained habits. We build up strong tendencies through our past actions. Arjuna is a warrior. His whole life has built preferences for action, engagement, duty.
Even fighting.
Yes. And these deep-seated preferences would likely just pull him back towards action. The text even suggests he might react forcefully if disturbed, showing his inherent nature wouldn't just disappear if he tried to live passively.
So his own nature is geared towards action. Okay, 4th reason.
This one's about a wrong perception. It's a warning against thinking that just adopting the outer form of a spiritual lifestyle automatically grants self-knowledge.
So just changing your clothes or location doesn't do the inner work for you.
Precisely. It's the effort, the intention, the actual work you put in that matters, not just the lifestyle label. You need conscious effort for inner transformation.
That's crucial. Effort determines the result. Okay, number 5.
The 5th highlights the correct goal. It brings us back to mental maturity. The text insists that until you achieve that understanding the limits of the material world, renouncing action isn't the best approach.
So even if someone tries a spiritual lifestyle early, Their first goal might still need to be developing that mental clarity, maybe through service or study within that context.
Yes, it's like there's a necessary prerequisite. You need that inner foundation first.
Got it. And the sixth reason.
Number 6 is about needing the right knowledge. To actually succeed on a path of renunciation, you need to understand it, the practices, the principles, the potential difficulties.
You need the map before you start the journey.
Exactly. And Arjuna at this point lacks that specific knowledge about a life focused on inaction and self-study. He's not equipped for it yet.
Okay, that's practical. And the seventh, final reason.
The last one emphasizes the high risk. Renouncing action prematurely is presented as, well, potentially dangerous.
Dangerous how?
If you renounce without that inner strength and conviction, you might still be vulnerable to worldly temptations. A professional life often has structures that help manage desires, but a renunciate life might lack that external support. Giving in to temptations after renouncing could lead to failure, maybe even feeling worse off than before.
So a structured life provides some guardrails that are missing if you step away too soon. That paints a clear picture of why, for Arjuna, just dropping his duties wasn't the answer. So what was suggested for him and for others in a similar position?
The text offers karma yoga as the more suitable path for those not ready for full renunciation.
Karma yoga. That's about action, but with a different approach.
Exactly. It's about performing your duties, doing your work, but without being attached to the specific outcomes. Acting with a sense of dedication, almost like an offering.
So the focus shifts from what do I get out of this to how am I performing the action itself?
Precisely. The attitude is key. Accepting the results, good or bad, with a certain equanimity. The text contrasts this sharply with acting just to win, or for revenge, or for personal gain that's seen as binding, leading to more struggle.
So it's a way to engage with the world that doesn't create those same attachments and suffering.
Right. And the text explicitly says that both paths, renunciation and karma yoga, can lead to the ultimate goal, to liberation. But for someone like Arjuna, karma yoga is presented as better, more effective for his current state.
That's a powerful idea, that your everyday actions done with the right attitude can actually be part of a spiritual path.
It really is. It transforms the mundane into something potentially profound.
So bringing this back to you, the listener, considering all this, the first step seems to be that honest self-reflection. Where do you stand in terms of that mental maturity? How clearly do you see the limits of external pursuits? And what are your own deep-seated tendencies? Are you more naturally inclined towards action or contemplation right now?
Exactly. There's no single right answer from the text that applies universally. It's about understanding yourself, your current state, your inherent nature, and finding the path that aligns with that on your journey towards, well, that joyful living the text talks about.
So to wrap up this deep dive, the choice between renouncing action and continuing to act isn't really about which is better overall. It seems to be much more about suitability, aligning your path with your personality, and, very importantly, your current level of mental maturity.
And for those who haven't quite reached that mature understanding or who have strong tendencies towards action like Arjuna, the guidance suggests that engaging in work with the attitude of karma yoga, acting diligently, but without attachment to the fruits, is a more practical and potentially more liberating path than simply trying to stop all action prematurely.
Which leaves us with a final question for you to think about. As you reflect on these ideas, mental maturity, the reasons against premature renunciation, the path of karma yoga, what parts of your own life, your own inner landscape, your motivations, what resonates most strongly? Where do you see yourself in relation to these different perspectives on action and inaction? Something to consider as you navigate your own path.